Throw out the wave, give him the bow. Alright, bud. Not today, buddy. How is everybody doing today? Welcome back. Finally, I know it's been a while, to another Dark Souls 3 PvP build. The last build that I did and that I uploaded was a Dark Souls 2 build. It was a sorcery build, but it has been quite a while since I have done a DS3 one. And since it probably is one of the best Soulsborne games for PvP, I'm always excited when I get a chance to do one of these. And I'll admit, I had a hard time picking weapons and strategies and combos for this build because I kept wanting to go back to my Wing Knight Twin Axes, my Goddard Twin Swords, my Dark Sword, my Lothric Knight Great Sword, all my classic stuff, right? And because it was kind of hard to consistently win battles at first with a lot of those stuff that I've chosen. But now that I've gotten it down, it's not too hard to take away a few victories. So, let's get into the nuts and bolts of this build, shall we? Okay, here we go. So this guy is, as you can see, a SL 120 pure strength build. This build uses no miracle buffs, no pyro buffs, no dark sorcery buffs, or sorcery buffs, or any type of resins or anything like that. This is purely strength. Everything in this build benefits off having a high strength stat. So let's give it the rundown. Like I said, it is SL 120. We come in with 1,705 HP. That's also due to some rings we're wearing. We have 93 FP and 125 stamina. Our equip load is kind of up there because with strength builds you usually have to carry heavier weapons, and our armor isn't the lightest. Our vigor, to get into our attributes, is 42. For this build, I would say at least 40. If you don't want to be exactly 120, if you want to see if you can get this build going before 120, so you don't have to keep grinding the souls to get there, I'd go with at least 40 vigor. Endurance at 20 doesn't really matter a lot. It seems in Dark Souls 3 that you don't have to level your endurance that much to get a lot of endurance use, I guess. You know, it's not like other Soulsborne games where you see a really large endurance pool from leveling it a ton. So I just left it at 20. Vitality and strength are the two most important. I would get those both to at least 45 so that you can hold the heavy weapons and have them do decent damage, as the vitality will let you hold them and the strength obviously lets them do the damage. Dexterity you can leave at base. Actually, no, you need 16. You need at least 16 dex to use the Wing Knight Halberd. But other than that, you don't need to level it any higher. So you could throw that extra point into, you know, vigor if you want or whatever. So you probably could get away SL 115, SL 116 if you didn't want to get all the way to 120. But I like nice even numbers, so I went to 120. And it's like the classic meta cap, I guess, for Dark Souls 3. Or at least it was when I last did a build. It's probably honestly higher, 130, 140 by now, maybe 150. But those are the stat lineups. As you can see, you know, the weapons we have do decent damage. Come over here and look at the actual loadout. We can see that we have the Winged Knight Halberd plus 10 heavy. I went through all the different infusions, and this one did the most damage. I think they either nerfed, refined, or did something with it, because that used to do the most damage on a lot of weapons, but now it's heavy for a lot of the stuff that I've chosen. So that's why I went with that. I love the moveset. Very unique. Has a ton of range. Love it, love it, love it. And the Wing Knight Twin Axes that I used in previous builds were also a favorite. The Gale's Great Sword plus 5. The weapon you get from the final boss in the Ring City DLC. Slave Knight Gale. This was the sword that I was having trouble with, because the Halberd I'd used before. Not in PvP build videos, but just casually. This one I'd never used, and it was hard to get used to that strike move set. That's because the Lothric Knight Greatsword is a slash thrust, I believe, where this is strike thrust. And some of the move sets were hard to connect. People would dodge them, and it was a little frustrating at first, but we have finally nailed it down. and can use it quite effectively. I used to have a dagger in the slot, but whenever I would parry someone with a Keistus and the riposte, it just wasn't as much as I thought it was. So I decided to switch over to a mace, kind of paying a little homage to the mace in Dark Souls 2, which is one of the best weapons you can use for PvE and PvP. Does a ton of damage. But the buff, the, what do they call it? The perseverance skill, where your guy kind of grabs it with two hands and, like, you know, lets out a big huh and, you know, buffs himself, and he kind of gets a huge poise boost at that point. Allows you to tank through a lot of hits, and I've seen some combos through testing this build where people will do that and then they'll just, you know, beat through you because you can't, you know, stun them or knock them out of their, you know, attack sequence because of that perseverance skill. So I decided to give that a try, and it's the weapon you end up not using a lot, but it is kind of cool if you exhausted these two and you want to go to a third move set. And that is the reason most of my builds have more than one weapon. It's because if someone's really smart and they're just outplaying the one weapon you've chosen, you're kind of dead in the water. So I like to have multiple weapons with each of them having unique movesets that are very different from the previous weapons. Like the halberd, the greatsword, and the mace, very different movesets from each other. Onto the shields, the ethereal oak shield. I chose it one because it is a 100% physical damage block shield, and it is pretty light. It's not too heavy, but this combined with our Sun Princess ring allows us to slowly regen HP. And if I take damage and sit there and watch the HP meter tick up, it goes up about 4 HP every half a second to second. So you actually regen HP quicker than you'd think. So that's one reason I've got that. The simple Keistus, when it's infused with simple and you have it out, it restores your FP, kind of like the shield. And it's one of the better parrying weapons in the game. So if you ever need a parry, as in testing earlier, I came across a couple straight sword spammers. Easy parry, pull out the greatsword or the halberd, finish him off. Armor set purely aesthetic. I like the Fire Witch armor a lot. It's probably one of my favorite chest pieces in the game. And I picked that and then basically went around it as the Undead Legion helm, the Pontiff Knight gauntlets, and the Outrider Knight leggings all have that same silvery aspect, and I wanted to kind of keep with that. So they all matched, and I thought it looked cool. As for rings, Chloranthy +3, Ring of Favor +3, Steel Protection +3, and Sun Princess ring. I already explained the Sun Princess ring. The two rings I think you should have for this are Steel Protection and Favor, as you get a physical damage absorption boost and the increased HP stamina max whip load. Chloranthy ring, I mean, in PvP, I guess it doesn't matter a ton. I think the Chloranthy ring is better for PvE. That's kind of a slot you could kind of pick and choose whatever you want. That's not super necessary. On to our little trinkets here. The only things I really think you should have on you are these three. You don't need to carry this with you or this with you. Sometimes I'll just like to throw these down and, you know, mess around. But, you know, if someone's got a poison build, this can help you out of it. You know, if you're taking a bunch of bleed and it's about to proc and do a ton of damage, you can have that. And then I kind of just throw these out there to, you know, mess with people or make them waste stamina by rolling away from them. And then I've done this as 10-5 because when you invade as a sun bro or put your sign down, it cuts them in half. So I end up with 5 Estus and 2 of these Ashen. I never go through a ton of Ashen, and after you kill someone, it gives you 1 of each back, so you end up being able to, you know, do 4 or 5 rounds of wins before you kind of have to just jump off the map because you can't heal yourself. Although a good host will have miracles to heal people. I like when people have that. They have the miracle to come down and put the great heal on you so you can not have to worry about using your flasks. So, that is the build, that is the stat lineup, that is all the weapons, shields, armors, rings, trinkets, etc. And now, it's time to see what this build can do in the PvP arena behind the Pontiff Solve and Fight. We'll see you in just a second. Got the parry off in the beginning, unexpected. As you can see, I went around to the other side to prepare to reposition myself for the next attack, and the parry went off. Looks like this guy's rocking some type of club. Yeah, that looks like the Great Club. So, the moveset, we gotta be careful, because this thing has, I think, one of those wide sweeping movesets. Alright, we want to feel this out. I want to feel this out. I wasn't sure if he was going to do some crazy weapon art and like one-shot me, so I was trying to be careful there. What does this guy got? He's got some type of staff. He's a sorcerer. Haha, I love sorcerers. What's he got? Okay, the combo. The combo. The combo. That combo was not good enough, kid. For a party, let's give it to him. Good fight, my sir. The man knew what he was doing. Alright, everybody, that is going to do it for the PvP section of the build video. Now to wrap things up, to give you one last final look at the stat layout, level, and all the attributes. One more look at the loadout, the halberd, the gale sword, the mace, ethereal oak shield, simple cestus or Caestus, undead legion helm, firewitch armor, pound of gauntlets, and outrider knight leggings. And again, the rings. Two that I recommend would probably be these two. And then the other two, kind of pick whatever you want. Although I do like the fact that this slowly restores your health, and if your opponent notices it, it kind of puts a sense of urgency into him. Say, oh, he's healing. If I go on too long, he'll maybe gain back another 100, 200 health. We don't want that, even though it is pretty gradual. Although with the shield, it's a little faster than you might think. One thing I want to mention is that the Great Mace does the same exact, what is it called, weapon art as this, except it has a much larger swing and does a lot more damage, so I kind of wanted to try the build with that, but I kind of have to either add a Havel's ring or cut one of these because then it's way too heavy and I'm overweight. So I'd probably cut the halberd just because I saw a lot more success with the sword. The halberd's really, it's a slow weapon, and you really have to be good with it to get kills. I don't know if I ever fully managed to go a whole fight with just it. It's kind of a tech. You know, I'll use the sword, throw it in, switch it up, then go back to the sword just to keep people on their toes. And every once in a while, you get lucky with a spin combo and steal a victory. But yeah, that is the loadout. That is the build. This is the Boreal Champion. That is the name that I've given this man. And he looks pretty cool. So that is going to be it for this build video, guys. Plenty more build videos and Souls content to come in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.